Hi.
All right. Now we're
Okay.
professional.
Yeah, take 10. How do they then? Okay. Hi, Danielle, and welcome.
Thank you
How,
very much. Thanks for having me.
thank you for taking the time to do this. How are you?
I'm doing fine. It's pretty nice over here. Springtime has sprung, so things are pretty busy for everybody in the bike world.
Yes, the hectic season. I
Yeah.
will just badmouth you for a few seconds now, if you
Okay,
don't mind.
that's
For
fine.
those
I
for
can take
those
it.
Okay, okay, hang on to your seat. For those who don't know, Danielle runs a YouTube channel called Neutral Support. I will put in the video's descriptions all the links and everything relevant. And I personally love watching that channel. It is, you will please correct me if I'm wrong for something, but it is primarily aimed at mechanics, more
Yes,
professional than home, but for mechanics.
yes,
And
absolutely.
that makes it, for me at least, special because there are not many mechanics who are willing to share their knowledge and experience and to do it in a way that's at least to me it looks like it's really honest and how it really is, and it's educational and helpful, informative, and the way you present it is also very interesting to watch and clear to understand. There are many mechanics who are awesome, but when you try to get some information from them, even when they are willing to share it, they cannot communicate it. And Danielle's channel is Neutral Support, and website neutralsupport.net is really good.
Well, thank you. That wasn't bad at all, right?
Well, I
That
did
was
my
all
worst.
very complimentary. Yeah. No,
Uh,
and your channel is the same, right? You're doing a lot to educate people on how to do things, products, all that stuff, and it's from a very mechanical standpoint, so that's pretty cool.
it's aimed for the 12 and 15-year-old me, and someone else if likes it, it's good, right? But
Yeah.
that's
As
the
long as
target
you like
audience.
it, that's all that matters, right?
Yeah, yeah, basically. And what I wanted to say slipped my mind. Mm, it slipped my mind, but I want, yes, the main idea. This is the first time I'm doing an interview, so I will excuse myself for any Tarzan English or mistakes in how to make this work. It's the first interview, and Danielle, you are the first person that I asked if they want to do an interview,
Oh,
and
super.
it's a channel that I don't know how many people see. I'm subscribed to your channel, but I don't always get notifications for every video. And I wanted to share this because I want more people to see about your work and to be able to experience it and get the information and help if they like it. So that was for me the main idea for making the interview.
Well, I appreciate it. And that's super nice. Yeah. I'm honored to be the first, but I think you're doing a great job.
Thank you, thank you. I'm also very honored and happy that you agreed to do this. I have sent you the list of questions, and I would like to ask them. And if you have anything else you want to talk about or anything to add or something, it's all good.
Sure.
Okay,
Absolutely.
I can start shooting. Okay,
Go ahead. I'm ready.
okay. The first question, that is a trick question. Only the native speakers can understand that and answer that one. So if I talk about roadside repair tools, will people think that I'm talking about tools for repairing the sides of the road? The-
No.
that was the dead joke. Okay, no, not my best, but but I tried. But the serious questions. So the first question, I made the list because I'm among the most absent-minded people that I know. So I have to write things down. Otherwise, I forget.
It's
So
good to have a plan that we can ignore later.
yes, exactly. So, how did you start and how did you figure out that you want to be a mechanic and fix bicycles?
So I'd say the writing was on the wall for a long time, but I didn't know it. So I grew up thinking that the only pathway to being an adult was go to college, you go to school, you go to college, you get a real job, like everybody says. But in first grade, I brought a micrometer to school to show my friends how to measure the thickness of paper. So I was only like 5 or 6 years old. So I think for a while, it was kind of obvious that I like tinkering with stuff. I was always fixing stuff or taking stuff apart. My parents really wanted me to end up doing something. They wanted me to know what I was going to do. And when I was 16, my dad said, "What are you going to do?" And I said, "I just don't know. I just want to have like tangible, hands-on type work. I don't want lofty idea type work. I really want like a skill that I can do stuff with and physically have a product as a result." And he said, "What is that?" And I said, "I don't know." So I went to school. I got a job at a bike shop because I was putting together bikes for fun and going to shops, and I was just having a blast. And my boss at the time said, "Well, some people work in this industry for life. Other people are just passing through." And I literally, in the interview, he said that. And I told him, "I'm definitely just passing through." Like, this is not what I'm going to do. I'm in school. I'm paying a lot of money to go to school. So I'm going to end up in some other job. But like, I really, this is just my school job. And then I had never left the industry that whole time. So
they let you get a taste and then they got you hooked.
yeah. And I had a really good mentor because I was a mechanic apprentice there. And he really took, like, I started as a salesperson. They actually only hired me because I was a woman, really, because they wanted a female sales representative. And then I just buried myself in the back and had a really nice mechanic who'd been doing it for a bunch of years. And he just let me ask all the dumb questions I wanted anytime. So that's kind of
Cool.
where it started, or where it ended up anyway.
Cool. Did you work for many years in that shop, and do you run your own shop now? Or
So I worked in that shop for a few years. And then when I was going to graduate from college, because it was right next to the school, I actually decided I got an opportunity to start my own business. And I told the owner of the shop that I worked at that I was going to do it. And he was very nice and said that I could work at the shop until I was started. And so I worked at the shop till I started my own business. I actually started as a mobile business only, and then ended up doing that for many years. But that was sort of the impetus of my own business. And that kind of grew from mobile to a hybrid model where I actually had a brick and mortar shop in the town that I was from, and I was running the mobile and the brick and mortar. And I actually ended up moving, so I sold that shop. But that was kind of 10 years of my life was just running that and going, just 100 miles an hour for that whole time.
I can see from some of your tool discussing and explaining that you must have been doing a lot of remote work or mobile, as you said. So it all makes sense now, and it is an important aspect, and it's cool that you have that experience too.
It's funny because I think it was a nice hybrid because I was working so many. And sorry, my shop cat is very interested in what we're doing.
It's cool.
I was working on the road a lot, but I was also working events. So basically, for the first couple years, every weekend I was at an event, and all during the week I was working. And so it's just like nonstop bicycle work all the time, like basically just repair. Because as a mobile business at that time, it was very hard to get accounts. It was really hard to sell anything. So it was mostly just every single dollar was something that you did with your hands. Like you put in a shift cable, you get paid, that kind of stuff. And it was very transactional, and it was awesome, but it was a lot of work doing it that way. It's a lot better now, and I've been excited to sort of help develop and monitor how they're making it easier for mobile mechanics with accounts and selling things and fulfillment and all that stuff. So
cool. In Serbia, it's still impossible to get insurance or anything as a mobile, and it's still a way to go. But it's a different country. It's a small city where I am, and so there's no really, everything is 15-minute bicycle ride. So
that's really cool.
And Do you in which part of United States do you work with all those privacy and other things in mind, not to pry too much?
Sure, I'm up in the Northeast, so in that corner where you can get away from people pretty quick. Nothing is a 15-minute bike ride away.
Okay.
But yeah, this is both the areas with the most people and the least people,
So you
because
can choose how you like it.
yeah, so like not too far away from here, not super close, but not too far as New York City, right? You can get as many people as you want right there, but in terms of actual life, I'm pretty rural up here, kind of away in small towns as opposed to big cities now. I used to live in a place when I had the shop that was probably a medium size. It was right below the capital of North Carolina, the state, so a little bit further south.
And do you have mountains nearby and nice places to ride? And do you like riding? What kind of bicycles do you ride and what kind of riding you do?
Yeah, so I'm pretty lucky. I don't really have beach, but we have a lot of mountains because we're kind of on that Blue Ridge mountain line that goes up the East Coast. So we have decent riding, mountains, a lot of rail trails up here. Vermont, pretty close by, they have tons and tons of gravel riding.
That's Canada?
That.
Vermont, that's Canada.
So Vermont's in the United States, and then Canada's right above. So there's like Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine up in the corner, and Canada is right above them.
Okay, I'm a complete idiot when it comes to US geography, so sorry for the.
No problem. So we're in the corner.
Okay.
And Canada is to the north, and so we do hop into Canada sometimes just for fun.
Okay, cool. And what I wanted to ask you, what you already mentioned about them, the shop you worked at wanting a female employee.
Yes.
What is it like to, for example, just an introduction. In my country, I have never seen a woman mechanic. Never, ever in my life, not even once, wherever I went. So it's not something that you usually see. And so I'm interested to hear what it is like for you as a woman to work as a mechanic. And is it any different? Do you have some problems, or how motivational speakers say challenges related to that?
I think so. Yeah, I say in the United States, it's maybe a little more common, but women make up about less than 8% of bicycle mechanics. And hold on, sorry, my cat is moving something around. I'm gonna back up. So I think it is a challenge. The women make up about 8% of bicycle mechanics, so not very many at all in the United States, still more than they used to, but the women in the bicycle industry has always been a challenge because it's such a sort of male-dominated sport and a male-dominated industry, and a lot of society takes what men say more seriously because there's always been sort of a overarching idea that men went into the serious industries and women stayed home, and that's kind of stuck, even though that's not true basically at all. And I had one sort of, I have lots of like backstories about, every time that I was working an event or working at the shop with a man near me in any capacity, it was always like they gravitated directly to them for anything. So I'd have people that I was checking out after I'd done all the work on their bike, and they'd say, well, can I speak to the mechanic? And I'd say, well, I'm the mechanic that worked on your bike. And they like had to take a minute and sort of adjust. I was dropping off a bike because I used to do pickup and drop off if it was going to be more serious. And I did all the work, I was running the show, right? So I did all the work. I brought it back. The guy told me how much he appreciated it, told me that the bike was great, how our service was great, all that stuff. And as I was walking back down the driveway back to the car, he said, "Thank your husband for me." And at that time, my husband was completely different industry, didn't work with me at all. And so I got home and I said, "Hey, I just want to let you know that one of my customers told me to thank you." And I assume that that's because you let me do my job or something like that.
So. Let you go out of the kitchen.
Yeah, he let me leave the house that day. It was so nice of him.
Yeah,
but I think I don't, that wasn't even malicious, right? That wasn't,
Yeah,
it's
that
completely honest. He was very appreciative. He was a happy guy about his bike and all that stuff, but it's just a weird, like, it just sticks in the brain all the time that,
it makes it even funnier that it wasn't intentionally rude.
yeah, like he wasn't trying to be mean or anything. He was just
Yeah.
literally very appreciative to the who he assumed was my husband doing all the work. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's not as challenging as they're doing a lot here to make sure that women get in roles. They're focusing a lot more on women's racing and things like that. And so I think it's only a matter of time before it's just, a person on
you
a bike as opposed to assigning people by who, how they were born. So
you don't have closed doors because you are not a man. You can make accounts, you can talk with customers, do work. You don't have those kinds of problems now.
there is nothing like that here. Um, Basically, all of the challenges, at least this is from personal experience. I don't know if other women have experienced more challenges than I have, but I'd say that it's more about the appearance and whether people will take you seriously than it is about
Hmm. Hmm.
literally people saying you can't do something. I don't think anybody has ever told me that I can't um, do anything. I've had a couple people maybe drop off a bike and say they didn't want me to ride it. And, I don't understand that one. That one might have been telling me I couldn't do something. But in general, I think here you can do basically anything you want, but the barriers are going to be more the silent barriers. It's the perception.
Hmm. I understand the perception and what you talked. The difference. I know what it's like in Europe, but I have no idea what it's like in the United States for shops and customers. For example, in my city, it's like the Serbian Amsterdam on core Copenhagen. Everyone goes everywhere by bicycles, and it's the main means of transport. And most people that come to bike shops need their bicycles just to be rideable. City bicycles, usually often with only one speed and in a very neglected state, just as a means of transport that is expected to be cheap and to just run. Not much high-end sports stuff. Is that
Right.
different in the United States?
So it depends where you are in the United States. So if you look at the United States on a map, it's huge. And
Yes.
part of that is that the land masses are almost so different depending on where you are in the country, and the communities are so different that it is very similar to traveling across different countries, other places. So you get areas where people only use bikes for transportation. You get areas where people barely use bikes for anything. They just think that they're a toy for kids. And then you get sort of this mix in between where you get a high concentration of sort of upper tier economic situations. And those people tend to be people who buy, 6 to 10,000 US dollar bikes, and they ride them just for fun on the weekends. And so we have a decent mix. So it just kind of depends where you're at. And
Mhm.
there's a big gap from the very, very inexpensive bikes from the internet or from a department store to the people buying kind of the same bikes that you see on TV. So
How do you handle the high-end bicycles, the all the electronics, the hydraulics and everything? It requires a lot of different areas of expertise now, and I know for some shops that they have different mechanics for different areas of expertise because it's very difficult for one person to get it all and to do it all.
yeah, so I think one of my biggest pieces of advice that I always gave people is don't be afraid to only do what you can do. Right. So there are bike shops that were nearby to mine because I don't currently have a bicycle shop officially. Like I don't operate one anymore after I moved. It's been a couple years. Um, but there were shops near me who didn't do everything. Right. They were very good at what they did, and they only focused on what they did, and they survived. And I think you don't really get into trouble until you start doing things you don't know how to do. And that's not to say that you shouldn't try to learn, right? Anybody can learn how to do anything. You can pursue education, you can practice all of that stuff. Like that's how mechanics learn, especially in this industry. I'm not sure if it is true by you, but by us, there really aren't a lot of places to go for official bicycle education.
Yes,
And
yes.
I used to be a big part of the Professional Bicycle Mechanics Association that was fighting pretty hard to get some level of like even playing field where we could define like professional bicycle mechanic versus home mechanic so that there was some level of a customer could walk in and say, here's a person who knows what they're doing, similar to cars. That organization didn't quite make it. There's a lot of sort of backroom, like not deals necessarily, but sort of backroom influencing that large companies do that really focuses hard on everything else, but tends to put down anything that is about mechanics.
Making it closed just for their service, their parts.
Yeah. So they want to be, you can be a Trek certified mechanic, or you can be, this certified or that certified, but they didn't ever respond well to there being sort of a universal certification that everybody could agree on, which is in every other industry that's a professional industry, but not really ours. And so that makes it tricky because anybody can walk into a shop and say, I'm a bike mechanic, and you just have to kind of try to vet them in the best way that you can. And
sorry to interrupt you. Without the structured education and training, a person, me for start, can have gaps in knowledge that they are not aware of, and they don't know when that's going to bite them in the back, so to say, and to make the job be bad without even realizing they did a bad job until something happens on a bicycle or breaks. That's, in my opinion, a big problem of the lack of those levels of structured education, so that you know what you know and what you don't know, even more importantly, and that customers and the mechanic shop owners know who they are working with. With bicycle mechanics, it's very hit and miss.
Yeah. And I think that is still a challenge in the industry, and I'm hoping that we continue to fix it. And that was kind of part of my desire with starting a YouTube channel, was just to, like, I looked at the content that was available online, and it was all geared towards consumers mainly, or like, here's a hack to get you to do something really quickly that wasn't even the right way to do it. And I just didn't find a lot of content for me. Right. So you said you're making your videos for you as a 15-year-old, and I'm making videos that like I wanted to find and watch and be interested in instead, because I really think that it's an underserved category of people who understand how bikes work already. They don't need you to necessarily go all the way back and simplify the language and all of that stuff. And like, I go into depth maybe more than I need to on some stuff, but I think that's also because without the formalized training, you have no idea where mechanics are coming from.
Exactly. I love how you do it. It's not too long to be, how do I say, tedious. It's just long to explain everything, and you can always fast forward and skip if you find something that you don't need to listen to. So, and I love those inserts that you make in your videos. That are always funny. That's awesome, really. And as far as I'm concerned, never stop making those.
That's just to distract you, right?
It's cool.
Distract you. When you get tired of listening to me, here's something to look at for a second, right?
It's cool. Do you make edit your own videos, and do you record everything on your own? And
that explains the really high quality, right?
It is high quality because you show what's needed to be seen. It's not, how do I say, with drone cameras and other nonsense, but it shows what you're explaining clearly so that I can see what you're talking about, and it's very good. And I can, for one, understand the amount of work and effort that takes. So I really appreciate it, and it's helpful. It's very good.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I have a lot more footage than ends up in the video, but I try to watch it back and think like, am I losing interest right now? Like, if I can keep my own interest, even though I'm the one that said it all, then maybe it'll be okay.
Yeah. It's good. As far as I'm concerned, it's a good balance between
That's high
enough.
praise. You made a lot more videos than I have, so.
Yes, I make videos about everything and articles, and it's it's the way my brain works. I like to structure information and publish it, and so that I can use it as a reminder later because I forget what I don't write down and procedures and things. So it's a sort of a self-defense thing. People ask me a lot of things, and when I have an article and the video, I just shoot a link and save myself the time. So
Yeah.
it works for me. It's worth it. And what I wanted to ask you about the tool picker on the neutralsupport.net website. Did you design it, and why is it awesome, and why everyone should subscribe to that service? I get 10%.
It is awesome. Yeah, I'll give you a kickback. I'll give you an affiliate link that you can put below. So that actually, it's funny. The tool finder was actually first. So I didn't make any videos or anything like that until after I had already spent like hours and hours and hours and hours making the tool finder. And it was born because I needed a tool. And the one that I needed from the one I knew about, right? The company I knew that made one didn't have one, COVID times, all that stuff. And I was like, I wish there was a way that I could just like search for all the companies that make that type of tool. And so I ended up creating this database that categorizes all the tools into what they're for by brand and by type so that you can search it. And to do that, I'm not a computer programmer. So to do that, I mostly just scraped the internet. So went to the companies that I knew made tools, grabbed their catalog, added their entire catalog to the tool finder, built the website. Like I'm sure an actual programmer would look at it and think it's a nightmare in the backside. But I tried to make it as easy to use on the front side as possible as I could in my understanding, because that's so far outside of my expertise. But the expertise side came in that I could find the tools. And then as I find new companies and new tools, I try to make sure to add them to the tool finder as well. And then it's cool because as a member, when you use the tool finder, you actually have a profile that you can save tools that you find in the tool finder to a list under your profile. So you can say like, oh, I want to build out a kit, and you can select all the tools that you want and put it in your list. And then if you're done with it, you can actually just remove it from your list. So it's kind of neat because you can find new stuff. You can create a list of stuff that you want in the future and kind of save it to your profile on the site. So it's like a neat little thing, right? And it took a lot of work and a lot of time to build, but I'm like excited that it exists. And I constantly think of more things that it could do. They just also would take a lot of work. So I don't know, maybe in the future it'll do more things, but right now it just tries to help you find a tool when you can't find one by a certain company.
It's like the amount of work you put into it, like those people in the past centuries that were creating the first encyclopedias, like gathering all the information and sorting it in a systematic way and helping people find it. And
it did feel
admirable.
Probably like that. Like, I don't think I'll give a shout out to a company that doesn't give me any money, right? Unior. Unior's bicycle tool catalog. In America, in the United States, we don't have Unior as much, I think, as European countries do. And so we got like Park Tool and Pedro's and, a lot of companies that are here, but Unior is on the lower side of that. Their bicycle catalog is gigantic. It is like the most bicycle tools it was bigger than the Park catalog. It's bigger than any of the tool companies' catalogs just for bicycle. And I didn't even know that at all until I had to scrape the whole thing and put it on the database.
I had the pleasure of translating it to my native. So
how long it is then. It is massive. It's a huge catalog. And they have some cool stuff, right? They have stuff that's not just the typical bike tools either. They have some stuff like a crank, like if you strip your threads out of
or the crank pull or the angled one,
yeah, like the angled one that saves it. Like that's something that not a lot of I don't know of another company. There's probably at least one, maybe VAR or somebody made one, but I don't know of another company currently making one, and I wouldn't have found that if I didn't read through their entire catalog.
Yeah, so you are informed. It's in Europe, in my country, it's very difficult to find anything because it's a very small market. Sorry for
Sure.
the digression. I'll try to be brief. And
No, you're fine.
one of the very few companies that let me buy tools at a normal price that people in Germany, sorry, this says it's running out of time. We can restart. It's limited to 45 minutes. We can stop and then start again to continue the interview. Okay. So they want me to pay more for longer. Okay, I'll stop it now temporarily. Okay.
All right.
All right. Even Zoom figured out I was long-winded. And anyway, just to on Unior, they let me pay the normal price and get any tools that they make. If you don't have it in stock, the representative orders it, and you wait a week or a month or two, but you get it. And for other tools, you need to go abroad and find a way to buy them and bring them, and it ends up being double the price. So most of my tools are Unior, and I can order all those spare parts when things wear out and things. And for Park tool, for example, the support is very, very non-existent for my country, and not all the spare parts are available even in Germany, and that limits my options for tool choices. And Pedro's also costs a lot in Germany compared to Unior for similar tools, as far as I could see. I know that you praised a lot of Pedro's tool, and they look awesome. I love their tire levers; they're best, my favorite.
That's the best, yeah.
But it's not always available. So
yeah, I've learned a lot recently because I've joined some groups and I've talked to more people, especially through this medium. I've ended up engaging with more people that don't live in the United States. And your idea of how things work is very centralized on where you live. And then you meet other people and they talk to you about companies you've never heard of and distributors and things that you've never heard of that are big and doing really big and huge things in other countries that you've just never seen. And they don't know anything about your distributors that mean nothing in their country. So it's interesting because I think there's a bicycle ecosystem that exists just about everywhere. It's just not your ecosystem, right? It's different.
But your tool picker application should help with that to let people know what's out there and to know the options.
Yeah, I try to pick honestly, I try to find every company that's worth it. I know that I don't have them all yet, and I do need to do some more digging, but I try to find every major company, and if I learn about a company, I try to grab their stuff and put it in there. Like BSC is not easy to get here. But I do really like their tools, and I think that he's doing a cool thing with that company, and the tools that he's making are very, very nice. And Unior luckily does have distribution here, just on maybe a much smaller scale and a different color, because Park Tool copyrighted.
Yeah, that's really, I don't like it. It's the color of those tools that are insulated for high voltage, that red color. So it's confusing.
Red and orange.
Almost dangerous. I sometimes wonder whoever allows that kinds of things, did any manager sign off on that and why?
Yeah, and I heard a rumor, I haven't seen it come to fruition, but I heard a rumor that they're unifying their color.
I heard so too, yes.
Yeah, so everybody will have orange and red tools after a little while. But that's probably because they already make them for the one application, so they can just make them for the other application.
Probably, maybe. It's still, in my opinion, it's a bit tricky choice, those exact colors, but
yeah.
And the software that you build the database on for your website, if it's not a secret, what did you use to make that all in the back end? I'm curious, and if it's too, how they say, indiscreet, you can disregard the question. No problems.
No, I want anybody who wants to do it could definitely do it because it is a lot of work. So if they're going to do it,
yeah.
But I actually use Wix. Maybe they'll send me some money for saying that. But I use Wix, and the nice thing about Wix is that it has both a dumb mode and a programming mode. So you can use the sort of soft side of the website to make it beautiful and, put your pictures in it and drag and drop and all that stuff. But when it comes down to something like making a database, you can actually open the programmer and create commands and create buttons and have certain things happen, like if statements, right? So like if this and this are true, then I need you to do this type programming. And it's still not super in depth, but it at least lets you open up the back end if you want to. And then it's nice because you can close it right back up and mess with your website and not ruin that part. And so I've used Wix now on just about every website I've had to build for a while for any shops or anything like that. And it's been super friendly. I think that the functionality was more suited or more created for things like baseball cards and sports type websites to keep track of tickers and stuff like that. But
you made it work.
Whipped it into what I could using that cool. software. So that, hey, free shout out for Wix. Maybe they'll send me some money.
Yeah, 10%. Those cloud software as a service solutions can be very good because they let you just concentrate on making stuff, and they worry about backups, security, and making it all work. That's awesome. Yeah. What I fear when using those is that if that company goes down for whatever reason, it's very difficult to save your data and make it run on a different platform. And so for me, that is always when people ask me for recommendation, this will get you running simplest, easiest, no-brainer in terms even of cost, even though WordPress is free, open source and everything, but you need to know what you're doing to spend time, to spend right. more effort. So it's always a trade-off, and there's this small amount of risk, but the website that you've built as it is now is looking good, it's working good. I can view it from mobile phone. It gets the job done.
Yeah. Viewing websites from a phone. I mean, I'm old and I'm not super old, but I'm old enough to know when that was not was not a thing. And so the first time that I could build a website that you could actually look at from a phone and have it make sense, I was just like, I was totally flabbergasted about how that happens. Yes. But yeah, they're good, and they let you edit just the phone one too. So if it doesn't make sense, you can it doesn't change your main website, but you can adjust the phone one. And the cool thing too is the database is a spreadsheet at its core. So I think the worst case scenario that, Wix blows up or their servers die and they lose all the website and stuff, like I can make that visual website again pretty easily.
Okay, and you can save the spreadsheet if you have the backup of
spreadsheet I already have, and I have backups of it and stuff. So I'm not afraid of losing the scraped data because I've got it.
Cool.
But
cool.
it would just be the legwork of making it into a website that was functional again. But the hours and hours and hours of time was literally the data entry portion.
Yes. Yes, I understand that. And what you just said makes me sleep a lot better now.
I didn't want you to worry.
Thank you very much.
At best, I can just give everyone a spreadsheet and they can read it at home. Print
it out. Print it out.
Print out the thousands of tools that are in
it. That's for beach, light reading for on the BSC side.
Yeah, relaxing.
Tool spreadsheet, yes. Okay, I wanted to relate it to tools, to also bother you and ask you about the tool reviews that you do. Sure. I'm considering making a separate video discussing tool reviews as a topic. I'm not sure if it would help anyone, but I have problems with reliability, and your reviews really are reliable and, in my opinion, trustworthy because you talk about tools that you have used, and that's the experience that you're sharing, that you have really used in practice. And so my question is, how do you deal with companies? Do you have some deadlines that you must satisfy? Are they willing to send you tools without any guarantees for praising them, and how does that work in terms of what you are at liberty to discuss publicly, of course?
Sure. I have no contracts with anybody. Most of the tools, I get tools given to me quite a bit just to review them. I try to borrow tools instead of keeping them when I can, just because I feel like that's like some of the more expensive stuff, especially like I don't need to amass a bunch of different versions of the same thing. I feel like that's kind of wasteful sometimes. So
Yes.
at minimum, like things like the Remco stand they gave me, oh, I gave thumbs up. The Remco stand, they let me use the stand. I still have it. They let me use it for a period of time and they're developing some stuff. So they had me keep it, but it's not mine. Right. So it'll go back to them when I'm done. And that's fine because I already have stands. And
That's awesome.
I'm fine with those arrangements. And I have had companies give me things that they wanted me to review that I didn't review because I didn't like them very much. I left them off of reviews, or I casually sidestepped and reviewed something else that they sent, but not the other things. I've had a few companies ask to see the video before I put it up, but I don't generally I let them know when I put it up, but I don't let them see it ahead of time. And I've had companies never give me anything again. I won't say what those are.
Okay.
But
yeah.
I don't consider a free tool to be a positive review buyer.
Yes,
right?
it's more energy efficient to just discuss the tools that are generally good and worth talking about, and to disregard the others.
Correct. Yeah. And so I don't seek out tools that I don't want to tell people about. I try to only talk about tools that I like in general. Occasionally I get tools that I like well enough to talk about, but I don't like certain things about them. And occasionally that gets me into trouble.
Yeah, but that makes it only worthwhile. If you don't do that, it's not good. It makes no sense to make tool reviews without mentioning those
Right.
things.
And it's frustrating as a human to go to review sites, and people always ask me like, why don't I do affiliate links and stuff like that? And like, because if I see an affiliate link for a product, it changes my viewpoint of the review a little bit, even subconsciously.
I know. I get a
And
lot
so
of
that's
trash. I get a lot of bad energy from people for when I use affiliate links, and I always use them when they are available. It
well,
makes no
that's
sense.
it's people don't understand that an affiliate link doesn't make you dishonest,
Yes,
right? It just
it's abused. It,
gives you a way to make money on something that you're doing in a way that's like, if you like this thing, then you should use the link. If you don't like it and you don't like the things that I've said about it, then please don't use the
yeah,
link.
it's abused so often, and many people automatically disregard the review when you add an affiliate link. And my philosophy is, if you don't care about my information, that's not my problem. It's
Yeah.
you don't have to take my word. You don't have to try it. It's okay, and
Yeah.
I think it's fair. But I understand what you mean about the affiliate links, and it does make people less trustworthy towards
Yeah.
the
And
review when
like,
they see it.
and your videos aren't like this at all, but the uh, people who make like the 5 best chain tool video or something
The
like that. They
clickbait
won't,
archetype.
right. They won't actually put anything on the list that doesn't have an Amazon click link or doesn't have a link. And that, like, I'd almost trust the review more if it was 5 things and one of them doesn't have a way to buy it except for from the manufacturer and they still put it on there. Like, that would totally validate the list, as opposed to like only things that we could find that we could actually make money on, because that definitely makes it the appearance that they're being a
Yes,
little
I
swayed by.
understand what you mean. Because I
Yeah.
often face that some companies don't offer affiliate programs at all, My
Sure.
favorite
Yeah.
VPN. All the YouTubers were marketing VPN services for a while. And my
Yeah.
favorite VPN service that I use and recommend is called Windscribe. And they have no affiliate program whatsoever. And you cannot make money out of recommending them at all. But that's what I would recommend because it's what I use. And there's no more honest recommendation than that. And also
Yeah.
for some tools, you cannot find them on Amazon. And then I find usually in some German store links so that people can see what it looks like, see the price,
Great.
and then find it in their local distributor. So, but
Great.
whenever it's available, I try to use affiliate links. It
Yeah.
helps. Every little helps. It's the
Yeah. Don't take advice from me. I don't make any money.
yeah, it's similar situation. Yes, but the I understand what you mean, and I really like hearing that. And as far as I can tell from your videos, it really is so, and that's awesome. And that's why I value your reviews a lot because you know what you're doing, and you talk about tools that you have used in practice in real service, and then everything shows something that you don't see on the table or on some what do you call that, fairs, when many manufacturers represent things and
Yeah.
shows. It doesn't always show. It only shows when you put it to some abuse, and then you can see.
Yeah. And that's, I think, some of the best feedback I get from manufacturers is that was fair. And I'm like, I like it when they say that was fair because that means that something I said in there they didn't like, but they saw like that as a valid concern that people had. Remco's one of them, right? The
Yes,
concerns that people had about it having a ground sensor, the lever being a little bit short. Those are really like overall that stand is amazing and the review is overwhelmingly positive, but like those things are valid concerns and valid feedback for them. And they were
yes,
very open to getting the feedback. And I
yes.
appreciate companies that are
They,
able to do that.
they didn't have to pay you, and you gave them information that will help them make the stand better. It's
Right.
great for them if they take it properly. That's you've helped them. There's no
Yeah.
shame in making mistakes. There's only shame in not trying to correct them. So that's what high quality companies. That's how they take feedback, and that makes a big difference.
Yeah. And it makes a difference. Like sometimes I'll say if a company doesn't seem like they accept feedback and they don't seem like they're actually listening to mechanics feedback on their products, it also skews what people are going to talk about in the future. So even if they make something that's pretty good, the company reputation matters too. And I think
Yes.
I've had a few brands that I don't really deal with that much anymore who just they couldn't take the feedback. And I think it's pretty important to listen to mechanics in the field and see how they're actually interacting with your stuff because you can make small changes that put your tool above everybody else's with just a little
Yes.
tweak.
Not to
And
even mention the goodwill.
right.
When you see that company listens to mechanics who do the job in the field and adjust tools to suit them better, that is that's like a company that you want to support with your money, with
Right.
your praise, with everything.
And
So
here I'd say the company doing that the best right now in terms of larger companies would be Pedro's in the United
mm-hmm,
States
mm-hmm,
because they listen hard to basically everything that we say and make adjustments, make products that really cater to professional mechanics as well as home mechanics. They have plenty of tools for everybody, but
mm-hmm.
when they make new stuff that's on a professional level, it's from a professional mindset and they're a great example of a company that listens. So
I have a short list on my tool. Short list is there the Pedro's chain breaker tool that you've
oh
praised
yeah.
in that
Yeah, the
review, and
Tito.
that's yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's a good tool.
it's expensive in Europe, and I have good chain tools, so it's difficult for me to justify paying it. But I will probably sooner or later buy it. It's
Yeah.
it's curious.
I
It
think
looks
it does some really interesting things. Obviously, I made a whole video talking about it,
yeah,
but
yeah,
it does some interesting things that no other chain tools do.
yeah.
And
I
that's
liked it from your video. It shows everything that is important, and it's good.
Yeah,
And
and that
those,
BSC is super nice just for different reasons, right? It's a completely different idea on chain tools.
yeah, yeah. Their prices and how they make tools are a bit expensive. BSC, if you're talking, if I
Mhm.
understood correctly, they're a
They're
bit
about I
expensive
think
and
they're pretty close in price here.
to okay, okay. It's
Those two choices.
yeah, and they make some innovative stuff that I'm a bit frustrated to see Unior, for example, not taking and doing. They have an adjustable nipple driver for starting your wheels where you can adjust the length of the tip, how
Oh yeah,
soon it will disengage. And Unior makes it in fixed length that does not work for my wheel building. I need it to be about 3 millimeters. And
yeah,
ideally to be able to make it longer or shorter. So I'm sticking to ground down ordinary flat screwdrivers
yeah.
because yeah, so and things like that. And I wanted to ask you about your education and what did you study, and you have mentioned Maslow's hierarchy of needs, if that's the proper translation, and to me
Yep.
that was interesting very, and so I'm curious to hear what you like to read and things like that.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm like a total nerd. But the in school, that particular bit of knowledge was because I was a social work minor. So my major was Spanish language, and I had a minor of social work for a very short time that had me taking some psychology and other social work based classes. And so we talked a lot about taking care of people's base needs first so that they can think about more lofty things, and that the sort of high levels of thought are at the top of the pyramid. And everything that's really important is kind of at the bottom, the base level of survival. And I don't know why, but that has just like solidified in my brain forever. Um, and on top of that, like, you know, I think that principle applies to so many things, and it's really easy to get distracted by the upper level of pyramid of anything, right? And not taking care of the base. And so if you don't build a base, you can't build the top. And that's
Mm.
kind of how I've applied it to everything. But I'm more of like a bookworm science fiction reader
Okay,
than
okay.
anything.
I
And,
love science fiction. It's
oh, yeah.
anything that science fiction. It can be total rubbish. I will read it, watch it, whatever. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
I'm basically there. I will say that it took me until I was 32 to read Dune, um, which people would probably call like a hallmark of science fiction, and that everybody has read it. And, why wouldn't you have read it? Here, at least, I'm not sure globally if Dune is as big of a deal.
in my generation, it was the classic. It wasn't my
Yeah.
favorite, I must say.
Yeah. Well,
Dune.
I haven't read all of them. I just read the first one not too long ago.
Mm,
So,
mm.
but
It.
the
I,
principles in their science fiction are they're pretty entertaining. But I feel like I kind of bandwagon since they just did the movie, right? So
It's it's interesting the short stories that go out in magazines and they give you some ideas and different points of view. And that's what one of the things I like about science fiction because it lets you see things from a different perspective, change of mindset and things like that. So
yeah,
it's interesting. Do you like Isaac Asimov?
I
His
was about
science
to say
fiction.
if you like short stories, he's like the guy, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I think the best science fiction authors, so Isaac Asimov and which you're probably saying right.
Yeah, yeah, I love him. Yes.
And the I like Ursula K. Le Guin.
Le Guin, the
Yeah.
left hand of
So
darkness.
Left Hand
Yes,
of Darkness,
that's
super good.
interesting one. Yeah.
Um, but both of them wrote short stories and would kind of come up with the ideas and suss them out into a short story first. And sometimes they
Mm-hmm.
stayed as a short story because all you needed was a short story to get to the meat of what they were trying to say.
Yes.
Other ones grew into full books. And so they were very good at like, is this idea worth a book or is this
Mm-hmm.
just an idea?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I think some other science fiction authors could learn that their stuff could be short stories too, because
Yes.
not every
Yes.
idea needs to be a whole book or a whole universe, but some of their stuff.
An example of that was that book that was very popular and praised. So I read it, The Children of Time, something like that, if you know what I mean.
I don't think I read it.
Yeah, I thought it was a book that could have been just a short story. But 99.999% of people think otherwise. So opinions are divided.
Yeah.
And that's.
I mean, that's true about anything, right? Opinions are opinions.
Yeah.
That's true about everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tools even, right? I have a very unpopular opinion that I prefer the park tool stand over the feedback stand.
Mm-hmm.
Every single person in the world that has a stand and puts it on the internet seems to like the feedback stand.
Yeah, you have your preferences and taste. For example, I remember your showdown of housing cutters.
Yeah,
Made those, and the tools that you chose as high quality are objectively, they really are high quality, and I don't think that part can be disputed. But the part that is a matter of preferences, which one do you prefer working with, if it fits your hand better and things. And so those things are subjective and preferences. And for example, my favorite tool is not the same as the one that you scored as the most points, but neither of those tools are bad. They are both good. It's just a matter of taste. So those things are always interested when a person who knows what they're talking about can make a distinction and say, okay, this is objectively good or bad, and this is a matter of preference, and those are two separate things.
I mean, my cable cutter that I prefer didn't win. Right?
Yes.
The one that I have with me all the time didn't win that competition. And I use multiple because I have stations, right? So like at the housing, there's a cutter hanging on the housing. There's one in the tool bench. There's one in the box that's in the car with me. There's one in the demo trailer. So like I get to use multiple to just make sure that my opinions are more sound, and I sort of expand my horizons. But it is hard because you do get that favorite shirt, right? That you just want to wear all the time. And it may not be the best shirt, but it's the one that you like to wear. So
yeah, I understand. And those are things that people talk about, opinions. I don't think that every opinion has the same validity for everything. Because, for example, when you talk about tools, I take that with a lot more weight compared to someone who is not a mechanic and may not know what they're talking about. So for me, it's not just those are just different opinions. You made that video very nice in terms of making it clear what is objectively measurable and what is a matter of preference and opinion, and so that people can make an informed choice. And that is awesome.
And that's kind of the impetus for the name Neutral Support. Because I was working a lot of events where I wasn't really getting paid to be there and stuff like that. I was just there as neutral support, actually. And I ended up naming this channel and the website and everything Neutral Support because I wanted it to be like, this is just a person, not the company, not affiliated with anybody, telling you the information, trying to give you the best information possible. Like, I'm not behind any racer here. I'm helping everybody. Right?
I love that sort of a game of words that you chose. It's great. It's great. Yeah. So I checked that the com was taken by some domain squatters who are trying to sell it to make money. So, but the neutral support .net for anyone.
I actually had it on, and I was going to get it, and they the squatters outbid me when I didn't realize I had to bid. And they bought it for $15.
There should be a special circle in hell for people who do that things.
Yeah. Now I watch them try to sell it all the time.
I saw it. I checked it, and
I'm like, nobody's going to buy it for, it's like, I'm not going to say how much it is, but it's a lot of money.
But we've advertised it now. It's going to be worth millions.
Yeah. So
in a
nobody
couple
buy
of days.
it. I've got a back order on it. No, it's funny because even if I got it, I would still probably just leave it .net. The only reason I wanted it was because it's habitual to type.com.
Yes.
And so it'd be nice if both of them went to the same place, but whatever, that's fine.
You roll with what you have. You make the most of it.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't have any more questions without making it last for longer than the Lord of the Rings. So
which one?
all of them combined. And so if you have any questions or anything else that you wish to add or correct or say anything, now is the time.
I mean, I appreciate the opportunity to just have a chat and kind of get to know I like getting to know you. Also, I know that we've interacted on the internet a little bit, but not too much. And it's kind of exciting to have the opportunity to just talk about, how
across the whole ocean.
Back. Yeah, that's cool.
It's a good way to use technology.
Yeah. So I appreciate it. And I think this is pretty cool. And feel free to cut any of the excess stuff where we rambled on.
I will send you the raw material. You can do whatever you want with it. And I will try to make the edit to be not too long.
Yeah, that sounds good.
So yeah, I hope it will be at least informative for people watching it. So, and I hope they will, those who don't know will know about neutral support now.
I hope so. I appreciate it. And here too, like, BikeGremlin's doing just fine. And you guys are doing great, but maybe we'll get a couple more people over your way too.
Who knows? Who knows? Thank you very much. And I really enjoyed it. And it was very nice talking to you.
Thank you.